Affordability of housing, access to housing has been a major issue on the campaign already, and I feel like as a working person in the city for the last 10 years, I've definitely gone from being able to find affordable housing but not being able to find work to afford that affordable housing that lasted all year round, to now where you can find all the low wage labor that you can find. I mean, the jobs are there. The places for you to be aren't there, and you can't afford $1,500 a month as a working person in Asheville. And that's the reality for a lot of people, and it is becoming more popular. And I fear that that trend is going to continue, unfortunately, because a lot of the pressures that are associated with people moving here are slaughter to get worse. We're a desirable community. We have beautiful landscape around us, and we're on high ground. And in the next 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to see more and more and more people fleeing coastal areas that are prone to flooding to come to places like Asheville. And the first people who are going to be doing that are the people from those areas with means, which means they're going to be able to outbid anybody else moving here and anybody who lives here currently. And that is a major problem. And I'm not going to tell you that there's one thing that can be done to deal with this at the city council level. However, I do support rental prices fund. I think that one thing that we can do immediately is help folks who are in danger of losing their housing right away, instead of when they make complaints about those sorts of things being like, well, we got some affordable housing coming online in 4 years in this development, and it's going to be $900 a month if you can last it out that long. That's an insufficient answer for a lot of people. And I think also, as far as affordability goes, we need to deal with low wages. And there's not much that we can do on a legislative level, but personally speaking, I think that we need to start bringing in some workplace organizing in the city. That's what we're missing here. Other cities have tourism-based economies and don't have the affordability problems that we have, and the difference is an organized working class.
I would agree with that last part. That's very true. But for some reason in the South, there's great resistance to labor unions. I'm glad to be endorsed by the AFL-CIO in this election. We have a number of issues going on here. My family moved here in 1988 when this town was affordable and largely boarded up. So it's a mixed blessing that we're experiencing this kind of growth and vibrancy, but with it, we're now obviously being squeezed on the issue of affordability. The city has tried to do a number of things. Number one, on wages, we require that contractors that bid with the city pay a living wage, and the legislature then adopted legislation to preempt cities from requiring that of contractors. So then we decided we're going to pay all city employees a living wage, and that's everyone from the lifeguards to the summer interns, all the way up. Everyone makes at least a living wage who works for the city. The thinking around that is that's important to do for our employees, but it also creates some pressure in this environment where we have the lowest unemployment rate in the state on other employers to try to raise wages. We also have a ban on whole house short-term rentals in residential districts, and we are one of the communities in this country that's having a raging discussion around short-term rentals as it affects affordable housing, like San Francisco or Austin or Portland, Oregon. These are all places that are a lot larger than us, but having a similar conversation around the scarcity of affordable housing and the prevalence of short-term rentals. And we know that's exploded in Asheville in the last couple of years, and we know that's having an impact on available long-term rental housing. About half our city rents, so that's a big deal in Asheville. And we are trying to focus on transit. Since I've been on council, we have systematically increased what we put into transit and the benefits that we offer through transit, expanding into Saturday service and Sunday service and extended hours. And I know that now there's an effort to look at fare-free transit like Chapel Hill does, and I think that's a serious option that we need to consider, and also dedicating a property tax revenue stream to transit. And then finally, and there are a lot of other things, but we have limited time, but the city is looking at leveraging its own property, which used to not be considered to be located in great spots, but now it turns out we have some properties in very good spots, using that land for affordable housing development. We did our first one over on Klingman and Hilliard with working in partnership with the developer to create housing that would be deed restricted as affordable for 50 years. So we're looking to do more of that.
Affordability has to do with price. Price is dictated by supply and demand. We have a limited amount of space in Asheville. It's defined by a finite boundary. We're filling in every last scrap of it. That makes the remaining scraps more valuable, and that's not going to stop until there's just nowhere else to put anything. I think before that happens, it's going to be a very undesirable place to be, and that comes to, killing the goose that laid the golden egg here in Asheville. Why are short-term rentals available here? Because everybody wants to come spend the weekend here. Why does everybody want to come spend the weekend here? Because we're spending $17 million a year from our hotel occupancy tax to promote tourism. Herein lies the problem, though. That's a state law. We have to use the money this way, and there's just absolutely nothing that we can do about it as the mayor or city council. We just have to watch the consumers willingly pay 6% on a hotel room, thinking that it's going to a tax that benefits the greater good, when it's really going to the Buncombe County Tourism Development Authority to staff 24 people whose job it is to place ads in Martha Stewart magazine and get us write-ups in Southern Living magazine to come to the RAD, where we can spend $26 million, too much money, on destroying our wetlands and paving over the other ones. It's crazy. So if we're going to do anything bold, the mayor can make a proclamation. I'm going to make a proclamation that the hotel occupancy tax just simply needs to be killed, done. It's costing us too much. It's causing us more problems than it's benefiting us. That's what's burning this town down. We're revving up demand to the nth degree, and we're going to sprinkle on 20 apartment buildings over here and give some developer an incentive to build over there. And then the builder's going to get his tax breaks, he's going to get all this, and build it, and then later go, you know what, it's just not sustainable, I got to charge more rent. It happens all the time. So trying to attack affordable housing on the supply end is like, telling a fever not to exist. We're just going to ban these things. It's not going to work. What we need to do to create better wages in this town is to put our money into the fundamental aspects of what makes a town really wonderful. We should be striving to have the best education system, the best public school system in the Southeast. So that attracts people who want to put a business here, rather than chasing industries and building in a floodplain, because the water is going to rise anyway from global warming. Nothing that is happening in this town is making any sense to me. And that is why I'm running for mayor.
All right, thank you so much. And with that, that brings us to the end of our mayoral candidate session and the end of our forum. So just a few things before you leave. There are flyers, I believe, outside these doors for candidates if you're interested in learning more. Also, if you aren't registered to vote, you still can if you plan to vote in early voting, which early voting starts Thursday, October 19th, and ends Saturday, November.
No, that's incorrect.
This Thursday.
You'll just vote in general, not the general.
I thought you could do same day vote.
Oh, same day.
Yeah, for early voting.
You can do-
So beginning this Thursday, September 21st, you can vote early at one location, 77 McDowell, which is where the Board of Elections is. You can register and vote in the same day during early voting only, not on the actual day of the primary or the general.
If you want that written down, I have a handout on it.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming, and I hope you all have a great night.